Dear students, good evening. Welcome to Law Excellence IAS. Let's start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 4th January 2020. The first article for discussion is Time to Resurrect a Popular Fund. Here, let us talk about two major fronts at union level. One is NDA, next is UPA. These are the fronts that evolved during coalition era in India. The Manmohan Singh government, that is UPA 1, UPA 2. Before that, we had Vajpayee government, which was called as NDA 1. Now, the Modi's government is called as NDA 2. More and more, the BJP strengthening is weakening the NDA. And on the other hand, UPA away from power is getting decimated. The Congress is unable to play a central role in this entire process. The Congress is suffering from leadership crisis. Lack of another pole in Indian politics, centralization of power in one individual, one political party is going to cause greater harm to democracy. In this scenario, a new party or new space has to come in the place of UPA. A new front has to come in the place of UPA. What shall be the values this new front has to carry? One is it has to respect the federal spirit, and the second, secularism. It has to be a secular party, and economically it has to take the interests of weak and marginalized on the forefront. Added to that, the constitutional institutions are seeing a decay in India. Autonomy of these constitutional institutions, their dignity need to be protected. Bringing new vigor into the constitutional institutions like Election Commission, Supreme Court, all these shall be the essential spirit of the new, party or front that is going to come into this place. The next is an anti-disclosure amendment that hits the public health. Here you need to understand Form 27. Indian Patents Act is there. Under this Indian Patents Act, we have something called compulsory licensing. Let us take a foreign company or Indian company has done some research and found a new drug and applied for patent. This new drug is essential for public health. It means that the company also has the responsibility besides profit making to make this essential drug available to all. If it fails to protect the interests of public health, let's take Covaxin has come up. If they want to make huge profit surrounding that, they are not working in the interests of public health. In such a scenario, the government can take this compulsory licensing. Compulsory licensing means government will give license to non-patent holder to produce that product and market it. It is to ensure the product reaches to everyone. In that scenario, the government shall have all the information related to patent. So, this Form 27 becomes the basis to collect the information and to ensure compulsory licensing in the long run. If this Form 27 is diluted, we will not be able to collect entire information related to that particular product. And tomorrow the company do not serve the public health or public interest, we can't offer compulsory licensing to other companies. Let's take the cancer drug. It was produced by Bayer company that is called Nexavar. So this drug is sold at very high cost in India. Government has ordered for compulsory licensing to other companies. The cost has drastically come down more than 100 times. So this is what we need to remember. Let us not dilute this Form 27 that collects the information from a company that has applied for license or patent or whatever it is. Third is a tortuous recovery. This is about recovery of GST. Like never before, we have got highest GST collections in the month of December. What can be the reasons? Can it be a sign for economic recovery? Government concludes it as a sign for economic recovery. Partially true. Added to that, a strong festival sentiment is there. Marriages, they were held for few months and rigorous marriage events are going on. And the third most important thing is government started crackdown on tax evaders. Because of all these things together, GST collections have increased. On the other hand, if you see the investments in the economy, they are not increasing, they are actually falling. So lack of investments will not achieve further growth. A good economic recovery has to encourage investments into the economy. That is the caution we need to keep in mind. Next is, don't ignore the women farmers. 73.2% of total workforce in agriculture are women. These 73.2% of women, they hold 12.8% of land. See, most of the land as an asset or as a resource is in the hands of the men. So gender discrimination exists in land owning in India. But most of the workforce in agriculture are women. So they don't have access to assets, access to credit, or access to various other material or men resources, human resources in the agriculture. So because of this, what is happening? These women farmers, they are not coming under the definition of farmers, not included in the definition of farmers. Till they are not included in the definition of farmers, what will happen? They will not get any subsidies, benefits, agricultural market access, etc., which the government offers. So that's the reason why engendering the agriculture is most important thing in India. The agriculture runs on the woman effort in India. So engendering the agriculture will bring in inclusive, will make the agriculture inclusive and eco-sensitive. Engendering the agriculture makes agriculture inclusive and eco-sensitive. That is the take home point here. Next is a hurried gamble. A vaccine has to go through multiple stages of testing, which we are called vaccine trials. In this case, trial phase 3 is very crucial before launch of the vaccine, which is given in humans, and data is collected about side effects or efficacy, etc. In India, 2 vaccines are being approved. One is Covishield and Covaxin. Covishield has conducted trials, AstraZeneca has conducted trials in UK and Brazil. That data is used. See, the genetic makeup of all the people is not the same. So how it works on Indians, it is not yet clear. On the other hand, Covaxin, it did not complete its phase 3 trials. Before the completion itself, the permission was given, emergency use authorization is given. India is known for trust deficit on vaccines. If one rumor comes out on these vaccines, people start suspecting these vaccines. The very purpose of development and distribution of these vaccines gets hurt if it is the case. Next is, India still at risk of biased citizenship regime. So before this COVID-19, we were talking about Citizenship Amendment Act, NPR, National Citizen Register. So Citizenship Amendment Act, it provides for easy citizenship naturalization of citizens. It provides for easy naturalization from 3 countries. So what are these? Bangladesh, Pakistan, Afghanistan, to whom all the religions other than Muslims, or else Hindus, Buddhists, Sikhs, Christians, Jains, Parsis, all these can get a speedy citizenship. That is Citizenship Amendment Act says. So NPR, it wants to identify the people residing in the country. Now these will be filtered by applying a filter called the citizenship papers. So do they have any proof that they are the citizens of India? By applying this proof, they are going to filter only the Indian citizens. Now some people will be left out over here. So these people are recognized as non-citizens. So these non-citizens, if they are other than Muslims, they may get a citizenship from these 3 countries. If they are Muslims, they can be excluded from citizenship. It means it is targeting a particular religion. That is the criticism. So it is against the secular credentials of India. It is the secular foundations of India. That is the point we need to remember. Next, China amends defense law to boost war preparedness. You know, Xi Jinping is becoming the most powerful leader in the world today. Another Putin is in making. Previously, State Council used to have the control over military, defense strategy and law. Today, this power is given to Central Military Commission. The Central Military Commission directly operates under Xi Jinping. So, Mr. Xi Jinping can declare war, can get the military ready for any exercise. Before that, entire armed forces are divided into theater commands. So, theater commands means they are war prepared, integrated forces. It means they will not be separated as army, navy, etc. In the theater command, all these people come together. Next is, today the definition of national interest in China is widened. So, developmental interests of China also comes under the national interest. If any country hurts the developmental interest of China, then China can go for war against that country. And it wants to have military preparedness or military that can come on par with United States of America. That is called world class military has to be built. That is the objective by 2049. They want to build a world class military. Next, most important thing what happened over here is the military assets are extended. It means other than three forces, today they have space and also electromagnetic forces as the part of their military. The space force and electromagnetic force. You know, space division was first created by United States of America. Now China also on the same path. So this aggressiveness and assertiveness, military preparedness, military expenditure of China is not going to do good for the world. That's how I can put it as. Finally, this is Dr. Rambabu signing off for Law Excellence IAS.